I work for a ventilation company in the UK, and we had plenty of ventilators lined up ready to go and be used for the NHS.
Right.
And we had a couple of conversations with the Department of Health, and they weren't interested at all, even though the ventilator challenge was going on. And, ours were approved and ready to be used, and no, they weren't interested at all.
I mean, but this is almost unbelievable. I've got no reason to doubt you. I mean, obviously, I take your credentials at face value and in good faith. But you're saying that you had essentially a production line in place, and they didn't.
We had
they
them
barely,
in the UK, yeah.
and they barely
storage,
returned
ready
your
to go.
calls. So you had them here, and they barely returned your calls, while Boris Johnson was doing favours for James Dyson, who most
Absolutely.
people, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, most people close to the issue, close to the engineering challenges, didn't think he had a prayer of ever coming up with anything viable anyway.
Absolutely. It is absolutely mind-blowing. And they did eventually get back to us, I think maybe 4 weeks or 6 weeks later.
Yes.
Said, yeah, okay, then we'll have them. And obviously, they'd already gone. So we'd already shipped them to Scotland and Ireland.
Good grief. Came back to you after JCB and Dyson had failed to come up with anything, presumably, or I don't know what the timing
other thing
was.
that I'm, if he wanted to keep it in the country, so to speak,
Yes.
they wanted, if that was his sort of ideology, sorry, then I get it. But why, now that we've had this paper published about all the ventilators, where they came from, who made them, and where they went, and how many were bought, which is an official published paper.
Yes.
Why have we bought so many Chinese ventilators at £50,000 a go? Bearing in mind, the average ventilator costs between 10 and 15,000
Right.
to buy. We have bought hundreds of these Chinese ventilators at £50,000 a go, and they were the only ones that wanted cash up front. Everybody else was happy to, be paid at a later date post-pandemic. I just find it all very bizarre and very...
Could it possibly be linked in some way, if not specifically, then tangentially, to the story today published by the anti-corruption campaigners Transparency International, who say that more than £2 billion of PPE and testing contracts were awarded by the government to companies with links to prominent Tories? I wonder, Alicia. I mean,
who knows?
Who knows?
The cynic in me wants to jump up and down and say it's blindingly obvious, but
we'd have to find out who the middlemen were on these deals with Chinese manufacturers and where the commissions were going. And of course,
and why were they so ready to go, with these ventilators? And why did they want upfront payment? And why did we pay $50,000 when, the average ventilator in the country that the NHS buys, pre-pandemic is between 10 and 15,000? That's a massive, huge jump.
It is. Even my rudimentary arithmetic can recognise the size of that.
It's
gap.
mind-blowing. It really is. And not only that, they're useless. They're absolutely useless. I regularly go into clinical engineering departments in the NHS.
Yes.
I'm going to one today.
Okay.
And they're all lined up with stickers saying out of use, do not use. They haven't even lasted 6 months.
Well, to be honest, I thought I'd already opened a can of worms this morning with the sort of retrospective remembering of what we covered last April with regard to the debacle surrounding ventilator production. But you've just opened a barrel of worms with this observation.
I know.
So you're saying that we wasted money on overpriced ventilators that weren't fit for purpose, while at the time the Prime Minister was busy taking a few moments off from playing Candy Crush on his phone to swap cosy texts with Sir James Dyson.
It sounds about right.